Hello and welcome. It's Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button and a bell below if you wish to subscribe, be notified as to when I upload more content, and also support my channel. I'm coming to you from Ghana country, and as such I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as the traditional custodians of this land upon which I'm doing this recording. And in doing so, I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. So this video sort of was the original question I was asked before I went down the rabbit hole in a previous video about initiation. And again, these are just some of my thoughts based on some of the experiences I've had over the years in relation to people seeking or expressing an interest in initiatory or contemporary witchcraft. However, they don't feel or believe that there is a coven close to them through which they can do their training. So this again is no reflection on the person, the original querent. This is just based on a summary of experiences I have received in various ways, shapes and forms over the years. So when I get this query, the first thing that comes to my mind is what is meant by close. And I ask that question largely because there seems to be a reluctance these days, maybe it's just my imagination, but from my experience, a reluctance for people to travel outside their comfort zone. And I've had a number of querients or well, not even seekers, people wanting to do an event that I'm holding, yet complaining that it's in one particular side of Adelaide where I live, where I have all my stuff, and that's not close to them. Now, I could be quite nasty in relation to this because we're saying if you wanted to do a course at a university, would you be expecting the university or the professor, the dean, to come to your house? No, you probably wouldn't. However, there is, I don't know, an underlying assumption, complaint that how dare I live in a particular side of town, and Adelaide, after all, is not all that big. And this person had this reluctance for whatever reasons to travel. I can understand that there are various reasons a person may have. Our public system here probably isn't the best, especially after a certain hour at night. However, again, it comes down to what do you mean by close, and are you prepared to put yourself out there? It's sort of an underlying, what's a tenant? Not really a tenant. But when I was undertaking my teaching, there was a statement, I suppose you could call it a statement, about suffering to learn. And that didn't necessarily imply that you're going to be subjected to a whole range of horrific experiences. It just meant you needed to put yourself out of your comfort zone. Not everything is going to be given to you on a silver platter, nor will you be gifted the mysteries or the meanings of the mysteries, interpretations of the mysteries overnight. Things often in the craft build layer upon layer upon layer. The more experience that you go, the more cycles around the sun you turn as you gain more experience, maturity, and knowledge. Well, in the original question of this person who thought maybe I should move to locate their desires a little bit better, I responded to the fact that when I was undertaking my training, back in the day when the earth was flat, I used to travel an hour, sometimes longer, peak hour traffic after work, a full day work that is, up to a circle with people that I wanted to circle with, to do magic with, and often I would not get home until the wee hours of the morning. Now we're talking about to 3 o'clock in the morning. And after working magic, I'm one of these people, it takes a while for my body to dispense the energies, only to have to get up to go to work probably about 2 or 3 hours later and do another 4 days of work again. We would often meet, I think it was probably a Wednesday or Thursday back then. So it was midweek. It was, I suppose, a little bit inconvenient for me because there would be a number of Thursdays or Fridays where I would be almost wanting an intravenous drip of coffee and matchsticks to keep my eyes open. But I did it because I wanted to circle, learn magic with these people. I've also travelled interstate to circle with people, to gain experience working with people that I wouldn't gain that experience here because they don't live where I live. I've also travelled overseas to do the same experience. And all this time, and I still do, I'm actually booked for a trip next year to again meet and circle and work and gain knowledge and experience with people that I wouldn't normally get an opportunity to work with. In all these years, it's never actually crossed my mind to complain that maybe the teacher should be a little bit more inclusive and uproot themselves to move closer to me, or change the date of their training schedule because it clashes with something that I want to do. And yes, I've had people ask me that. Or I used to do full moon gatherings at night, and I've even had people ask me if I could hold these during the day because they didn't want to travel at night. No. Yet, I'm getting these demands. I don't know if it's just me, I'm the lucky one, or if this is a reflection of modern society, of this sort of FOMO culture we're manifesting, the sort of fear of missing out, they want to do everything. But when it comes to magic, when it comes to witchcraft, and I'm quite sure when it comes to other events, sometimes you have to make a choice. Sometimes you have to put yourself out of your comfort zone. Sometimes you have to work around other people, especially when those other people organising the event. I personally think complaining to an events organiser that their schedule doesn't fit with yours and expecting them to change things is a little bit self-absorbed. I also personally feel that it gives me a number of flags that maybe such a person is not actually serious because they don't want to put themselves out, regardless of their reasons. And as I said, I do acknowledge that there are probably very validated reasons why people can't travel at night or go to certain areas, especially when their transport isn't all that best. But at the end of the day, witchcraft training is not for everybody. If there is not a coven close to you or a magical group close to you, there are alternatives. So let's sort of like break that down a little bit. Contemporary witchcraft, the style of witchcraft that I'm initiated into and that I practice 30 years later, still have no desire to do anything else. And also with other forms of mystery witchcraft is part of a mystery cult. And in order for you to be considered worthy, it's actually an honor to be part of the cult. So, or part of the group, part of the initiate, it actually should be taken with an element of pride. These are my opinions. And it's not actually your God-given right or your goddess-given right. And if you do consider it to be that, well, maybe you need to consider what it actually means to you. Are you just wanting it to be another badge to tick off on your collection? Or are you truly serious about it? If you're not going to put yourself out, and of course there are, as I said, there are sort of limitations and expectations around this as well. If you do not feel the desire, and if you consider it is your right, then clearly this is not a form of witchcraft for you. And there are plenty of other styles of witchcraft out there these days in particular that probably will better suit your personality and, dare I say, lack of desire. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, and this is where you've got to take responsibility for your own decisions and also take notice of red flags. So we're just talking generally here. Maybe I'll do another video at a later stage about red flags. I think there's been other people who have covered that, especially in a more contemporary initiatory framework, and I don't really want to be repeating the same stuff. So back to the question of what to do. So naturally a degree of maturity and self-responsibility needs to be undertaken, because if you come across a coven that expects you to uproot yourself and move interstate and cut off all ties from the outside world, from your family, then hello, these are some red flags. However, if you want to move interstate or even another country, and you can form a nice little network there, and one of the goals or objectives is to work magic, then that's a little bit different, if you understand what I'm talking about. Even today, with all social media and the internet in general, not all covens, not all teachers are actually public or visibly public, especially when they desire to take on students. Often it's via word of mouth. And in this day and age, a lot of covens that I know sort of have a vetting system or a filtering system. I know I run one when my coven was up and running. Basically a couple of external circles, events to get the feel of people. And then if they are still interested in understanding, working, their energies are right, gradually begin to bring them into the fold if they're showing promise and due diligence, desire, cooperation, and enthusiasm and interest to learn. Again, nothing's given to you on a silver platter. So just because you are bursting with enthusiasm that contemporary witchcraft or Wicca or initiatory Wicca or whatever you want to call it is the best thing since sliced bread that you have just discovered, doesn't necessarily mean that a coven or a teacher has room or even has the interest in teaching at the current state. It comes down to patience and respect. Teachers, coven leaders, craft elders are all human, with human demands, obligations, other things happening in their lives as well. And they might just be sick and tired of teaching beginners. It's quite draining and also limiting on your own spiritual development if you keep doing the same basic 101 stuff over and over again, and when no one wants to step up and test themselves to the next level. Now I'm getting off track. So if you are a genuine seeker, this is probably after 15 minutes or 14 minutes of waffle, the answer to this question, if you are a genuine seeker who is interested in contemporary witchcraft, there are a number of things that you can actually do. You could move to an area where there is a coven which is willing to take you. Again, watch out for the red flags. This is not unheard of, however. People have uprooted themselves and moved interstate, other ends of the country, other ends of his town, even countries, to undertake training. But it can be a little bit extreme, really. Another question is to ask whether there is any kind of group, coven or otherwise, near you that you can join. After all, something is better than nothing. However, if they're not contemporary or initiatory witchcraft, you might pick up some bad habits, so to speak, or the teachings might actually not resonate completely with contemporary or initiatory witchcraft. So you may, at some stage later on down the track, if that's still your desire to seek initiation into such a coven, might have to redo some study. And that's more to keep you, or to make sure that you are gelled, connected into the current, into the essence, into the egregore that is contemporary or initiatory witchcraft. Yeah, there's been times when I've been teaching circles and people have been coming up with their own things and been quite reluctant to drop their own things, should I say. Part of me thinks it's a bit of a sign of disrespect if a teacher wants you to, say, draw a pentagram one particular way, or they align elements a particular way. There's a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. What you do in your own space, however, is up to you. But when you're working with another group, do it how they teach it. It's respectful. If you disagree, have a quiet word with the coven leaders or group leaders on the side. Don't do it in circle. Find out why they are doing things a particular way. There could be a reason that you haven't even understood properly. And another reason, if you don't find a coven within your local space, what about getting together a few like-minded people and, better than nothing, start a study group that focuses on the books written by the elders. And these days more and more elders are actually writing and sharing information. Some of these books too, you need to read between the lines. Again, nothing's given to you on a silver platter, but there are enough books out there to give you, again, and feel, in essence, a taste of what you may experience within a contemporary or initiatory witchcraft coven. However, just bear in mind that every coven is autonomous. There's nothing that's going to be identical, and that's just the state of things. There's also a number of Facebook groups that have traditional elders who may be able to assist you or guide you in certain areas. I don't know of any correspondence, but some elders might take up some guidance via correspondence. I don't know. You'll have to establish a relationship with them to prove you're worthy. However, when it comes to initiation, and if this is the main goal, is to be initiated into a traditional or contemporary witchcraft coven, that is done face to face. You cannot do that over the internet. You cannot do it via Zoom or on the astral. Maybe you can do it on the astral. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, it's got to be done face to face. Keep in mind that magic and the craft will find their way. They have this way of coming into your life, whether you want it or not. So if this is the tradition, or in fact any tradition or style of witchcraft sings to your soul, it will come. I said you may find yourself moving, relocating, or you may stumble across a strange little shop or a chance meeting with somebody and find out that they are what you are seeking. You do have to be open and be prepared to do the work. There is, especially in this day and age, no shame in putting together your own style of witchcraft from the information available. In particular, if this is your only source, I would recommend keeping notes of where you get the information from. Yeah, books, reading material, if you're watching videos, things like that, just put a little note, so a little reference, so you know, should, again, this needs to be not questioned, but relied back to, checked later. Even with modern operative styles of witchcraft, I guess it's better than nothing, even though I may sort of bitch about operative witchcraft, but I'm only seeing it through my particular lens. And my particular lens, especially if you're new to this channel, is that I perceive witchcraft as religious, as spiritual, is as earth-centric. There's a worship of deity, a belief in deity. You have to believe in deity, believe in the other. It's about evolution of the soul, of improving our life through, sort of moving away from the ego sense. It's also earth-centric or nature-centric in that it follows the seasons of the year and also the cycles of the moon. So what we do also reflects back on our external world. As above, so below, as without, so within. So we are not isolated from the wider community or the land upon which we reside. And this is something that's beginning to get under my skin when it comes to this focus on operative witchcraft, because this connection with our earth is being replaced by this egocentric need for things, each to their own. Their style of witchcraft, not mine. My style of witchcraft is more about building up a relationship with deity, being the main focus. And when it comes to spell casting, well, we have 8 ways of making magic. We don't focus purely on, and I'll probably get shot down for this, pseudo hoodoo practices. And this is what I see what a lot is happening today, which is fine. If that rocks your boat, that is perfectly fine. It's just not my style of witchcraft. So I hope that gives a little bit of advice or thoughts in relation to what to do when there's no coven near you. So I said first, what do you mean by close? Is there one, but it may put you out of your comfort zone when it comes to traveling. It might be something that you arrange. You could travel there once a month, once every couple of months to do some training. I used to do that. I used to travel to the other side of the country. But that's just me. How far are you interested in traveling or putting yourself out of your comfort zone if you want to learn contemporary or initiatory witchcraft? And as I said, it's not the only form of witchcraft these days. There's so many others. So you might have to think about your approach. Hope you're well. Blessings.